Hey guys, it's Kaylor. Welcome to the YouTube channel. Today is day 3 of our daily UI challenge. Today we're going to be creating a landing page. I am going to be using the e-commerce store I did for Google about 2 weeks ago. I really liked that design, and today we need a product to display in our landing page, so we're going to be using that. So I went ahead and took some screenshots and put them into the Google Pixel, and we're going to be showing that application off in this design. The hints in the email told me to think about like above the fold, so what the user sees when the page loads, and some important key features like having a call to action and some stuff like that. So let's get into XD and start designing. Alright, so let's get started. So the first thing I have done is in my colors, I've added all of the Google like typical colors, and then I've added the gray that I used in my e-commerce design as well, just in case we need them. I think we're going to be using the blue and red mainly. I don't know. We might use some other ones. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is lay out where the navigation is going to go, and I'm just going to symbolize that with a rectangle as always. Let's do like 120 for that. I feel like we're not going to have this rectangle like an actual color separated from this section. This is going to be a placeholder for now. I want to do actually let's lengthen the page a bit. 1080. Let's go 1600. See how big that is. It's a little much. Probably 13 or 14. Yeah, that's good enough. And then I'll also change my viewport height to 1400 as well, so we don't have our fold. There we go. So that's going to be our above the fold dimensions. And I want to create our first section, and I am going to be using this at an angle. So I'm going to drag out this rectangle, and I'm going to double click, and I'm going to drag this straight down to there, and let's drag this one up like right there. So that's going to be our first colored section, and then I'm going to have a rectangle down here, something like that. I'm going to double click on that one as well and move some of these around. Let's put this one like right there, and then we're going to send this one to the back so that our first one is in front. So we've got kind of a layout like that, and I want our phone to be like right here, so I'm going to have to drag this pixel over just a bit because our phone width would be something like that. So let's put a rectangle there to symbolize our phone. So I want the phone to come up like that, and that's going to be displaying our store, and that's going to be behind this section here. And then let's see how I need to do this. Let's just undo that for now. So it's going to be above this section and below this section, if that makes sense. All right. So on the top left corner of our navigation, I want to have the Google Store. And let's use Proxima Nova. Let's leave it at a regular font. I like the weight of that. And let's try something like 36. Let's give it some padding on the left, so about 80. Yeah. Then over here I want a download button probably. Now I feel like that's a little overkill because we're going to have the download buttons over here. So what would we want in this corner? We're going to want features so they can scroll down and see the features. And probably about the product, about store. I think that's good enough for now. So let's make both of these like 26 and then change them to Proxima Nova as well. For the spacing in between the two of these, I'm going to do 40, I think. And then let's center those up with our box and give it 80 padding as well. I think that's what we did. Yes, 80. Alright, so that's going to be our navigation. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And then we're going to drag this to the top. Looks pretty good. Actually, let's edit this one. And I want this pixel to be like right there, I think. So we can see a little bit more of this color down there. Alright, that looks good. So On the left here, we're going to have the name of our product, and then we're going to have a description. So I'm going to go and type that out, and I'll be right back. Ahead and typed out all of that, so I'm going to paste that in. And I just got like the description off of I think Wikipedia or something. I just Googled Google Store and got this description. I think it does a pretty good job of explaining what we'll be selling on this application. So I'm going to copy that. And let's create a text box for that, something like that. Paste that in. And then we also need to grab the title. Put that in its own text box. And then we can delete this. So I just typed out a better store with even better products, just something to catch your eye. And we'll put that in Proxima Nova as well. And let's try like 48 size font, maybe a little too big. And then let's do semi-bold. And then even better products. Let's space it out like right there. And then we have 80 padding on the sides of Google Store and About features. I'm kind of rethinking changing that to like 120. So that's 90, 100, 20, 120. And then moving that to match that as well. Yeah, I feel like that looks just a little bit better. And we might have the phone even line up with that side as well. Our description, like I said, just got it off Wikipedia. It just tells about like what the Google Store is and what they sell. I think that's a pretty good description to have here. So I'm gonna line that left. Let's do Proxima Nova, and we might want to bump this up just a little bit to like 26, so it's a little bit more visible. Yeah, something like that will work. And then I'm gonna drag that up. We don't need all that space. And let's put this like 20 or 40 down, probably 20 down from the title. And I'm gonna live preview this just to see what we got. I think that feels alright. Okay, so we're gonna have two buttons. Obviously one for the Google Play Store, I think it's called, and the App Store. Obviously I'm an Apple user, so you can tell by that. Let's copy that over. And we're probably gonna have that match this side right here, so it's all evenly spaced. Something like around there. And we'll have both of those, but we'll work on that in a bit. Probably have about 40 spacing between that to 60. 60 probably looks better, yeah. And then I think that's all we'll have in this top section. So we might need to make this section a little bit smaller or drop this down a little bit on the page somewhere around there, and then we'll have the phone match that height as well. Something like that. So let's preview that. That's looking good. Gonna have some spacing issues, I believe, but we'll fix that later on. And also down here, this is gonna be like the learn more, and it's got like a little arrow to scroll down section. So in this, I'm gonna have a bit of text and that button, so I'm gonna go type out that text as well. So I typed that out, and I'm gonna paste that in. Actually, let's do a text box for that one. Something like that. I just put something generic, just like browse all of your favorite Google products in one place. Ordering the newest Google Pixel and the latest accessories has never been easier. So just something to get your attention, to get you to scroll down, I guess. And on the font of that one, what do we use on this? 26. Let's do that as well. Proxima Nova 26, and that's regular, I believe. Yes. So we'll have that right there, and then there'll be like a learn more button. So let's do a circle for that. Put that there. And then we're gonna have, I'll actually import an icon for this, and it'll be like a down arrow. So I'm gonna put that like centered with this probably. No, I don't like that. What should we do with that? Well, this phone is not going to be here, so I'm actually going to delete this for now. So we're going to have a little bit more space to play with. So I want this kind of like in the center of this point just a little bit. Something like that. And where's the center of the page at? if we put that center of the page, it might not look too bad. I'm going to have to preview this. For now, I'm going to leave it in the center, but as we design, I'm sure it will change. All right, so that's going to do it for the wireframe, so let's get into designing now. So I know this section is going to be blue, and this section is going to be red. This section, I'm going to leave it white for now, but I might use like yellow or green there, just depending on how this comes out. So I'm going to grab all of my text so we can change it to white, because we can't really see it, and put it there. All right, so I have 4 different phone views. I have like the splash screen, adding to the cart, the home page, and the products. I'm going to try the cart first and see how that looks. And this is going to be our phone picture. Let's scale that down. It needs to be a little bit bigger. Something like that. We can change the sizing of this in a minute. But so now we're going to have to add this section in front. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy this section and paste it. So we have 2 blue sections now. I'm going to grab the red one and I'm going to subtract it. I believe that's what this is called. Yeah, subtract. And so now I think I have 2 blues. No, I do not. Okay. So I'm going to grab my text, my little circle, and this red, and I'm going to bring this to front now. So the phone is behind that, but it's on, and it's on top of this section. So let's scale this up just a bit more, something like that, and something around there, I think. And I also think I want to adjust this line a little bit. So I'm going to drag this pixel down, or this point, I keep saying pixel, to something like that. Let me see the preview in this. Yeah, I don't like that. I like how it's pointed at the bottom, so I'm going to leave that. This background, let's go ahead and change that and see how it looks with like yellow or green. Let's change this red section to yellow. Yeah, that looks 10 times better. Let's try this red as well. No, I like the green. I think that looks really good. Okay, and then we can have this circle red. So I'm going to go ahead and change that so I don't forget it and remove the border on that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go and grab these 2 buttons, and then I'm also going to import the icon for the down arrow. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I imported everything, and then I made one change down here. I didn't like how this was centered, so I think I'm going to make these 2 horizontally centered and kind of like position them like that. I think that would look a lot better, and it wouldn't be so distracting. Might need to bump it over just a bit. Something like around there. So I already have my SVG of my arrow here, so I'm going to drag that over and scale it down just a bit. It's a little too much. And we might actually get rid of this circle and just use the down arrow. I don't know. Let's try this in white. And then if we don't like that, I think I'm going to reverse the 2 and do the arrow in red and the circle in white. What if this is in blue? That looks a lot better. I don't like the red. We already have 3 colors. We don't need to use everything. So I'm going to center those up. And that does not look centered at all. That looks better. Okay, so I'm going to group that. And then I'm going to center those up. And then where is this positioned on the page? There's center. So we're just slightly over from center. So I'm going to preview this. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. And then we need to put our buttons over here on the side. So I'm going to delete these squares. I'm going to bump this, whoops, to like right there. Okay, so it was really hard to actually find the Play Store button and the App Store button that look the same. This one usually has like a lighting effect on it, and then like a glossy effect. And this one never has this border, so it took me a while to actually find these. So let's put this down 20, maybe 30 or 40, and then we'll put this one like 60 from beside it, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And then I'm going to center those up. Let's actually bump these up. They're a little too small, so like 350. And then we'll fix the spacing. Whoops. fix the spacing on this, so 30 and 60. And then I'm going to make sure these are centered. They might be a little too big now. Let's scale them both down at the same time to like 325. Whoops. I think 300 is the perfect size. It's just like there's too much space in between them if we try to go all the way over there. So let's put it 60 and then see how it looks, and we might center it up somehow. I feel like I need to drop this down a lot more. Yeah, that looks a lot better than having them big enough to where they fit in line over here. So I'm going to leave that. And then let's actually grab this entire section and bump it down like 40 pixels or 30. It looks a lot better. All right, I don't need that, so I can delete it. All right, so the last thing I want to do is I want to change this image. So I'm going to grab one of my other phone pictures. Let's try this one. This one's like the home page of the store with something added in the cart. I feel like that would look a lot better because it's like black. Kind of makes this look like it's part of the page. It just doesn't look right. So what's the dimensions on this? 585. And then we'll do that. Line that up, and then we'll delete the other one and place this one behind. Okay, so let's try adding a shadow to this and see how that looks. Let's do like 20 and then just darken it. A little too dark. Something like that maybe. Let's take that off and on. Yeah, it looks a little better with just like a subtle little shadow. And then also on these buttons, let's add some shadow to them as well. Just a default. And then maybe on this one, so let's ungroup this. And we might need some on the text. No, none on the text. I'm going to grab these and I'm going to bump them down. I feel like they're too high on the page. All right, so let's check that out. I'm going to make the phone a little bit smaller and then drag it up just a bit more. And then these I don't like the shadow on. All right, so I'm going to pause for just a second and I'm going to look at this. I really like the blue section, but the green and the yellow and the phone need a bit of work. So I'm going to go into a speed art and make some adjustments, and then I'll come back and tell you what I did and why.
What if I go stronger? What if I get higher? What if I start doing things I know I will regret? I will make my own way, I will not surrender. I will do my best until I get put under. What if I go stronger? 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 What if I go
Alright, so here we are back after the speed art. So I took a look at a lot of the things and I kept going back to this like opaque phone in the background, and I was like, why not just like stack them so it looks pretty cool? So I've got one here and then two here, and the same thing, it just repeats and repeats. It's not exactly perfect. Like this one needs to be probably moved up a little bit higher. Tried to get the spacing as close as I could. I think this needs to be moved over a few pixels. And I had some circles in here, and then I ended up just moving those to the red, so we have like these little circles over there just to kind of add something. And then, so I removed all the circles from the blue. I lowered the size of these two buttons. I felt like they were just too large, and I think it looks a lot better that it's not like a perfect square, like matching the width of everything over here. What else did I do? I completely scrapped this and the down arrow simply because this is basically saying what this is, and there's no need for that. And so I figured I would just add an About Google Store section down below, and I think that would cover it pretty well. So I actually want to change the view height. This is the last thing we do to this. So I'm thinking about 1200 because this is unnecessary down here at the bottom. So it's just there for me to see what would be next. But we're doing above the fold design, so I'm just going to stay completely above the fold and make that a final product. So let's also change the viewport height to 1200 as well. So there we go. So with that, I'm going to call this a finished design. And I wasn't too sure about this before the speed art, but I took a break and I came back and I did that speed art and I kind of redesigned a little bit. Sometimes you have to take a break and come back to get the end result you're looking for. So I'm really happy with this, how it came out after the speed art. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's design of a landing page above the fold for a Google Store application. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, day 4 of our UI challenge. As always, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, it's Kaylor. Thanks for watching the video. Click here to subscribe to my channel for new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If you want to see this channel grow even more, don't forget to share this video. You can click the share button down below. Over here is YouTube's recommendation just for you, so go check out that video and let me know what you think in the comments. Up here is my newest video, and if you haven't seen it already, go give it a thumbs up. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.